Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Just Being Candid with me, your host, Candid Mac. And on today's episode, I'm going to talk about the big move, my big move. What's that, you ask? Well, for those who don't know, I was born and raised in the South Bronx. I lived there for 30 years, give or take, a little more than 30 years. In the past 3 years, I lived in New Jersey. So I never lived far from my family, but last summer was springish. I was like, you know what? I'm over winter. I want to be someplace different. And where I moved to was not where I thought I would be. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the big move and if you ever thought about moving someplace far, why you should or why you shouldn't. So let's get into this episode of Just Being Candid. All right. So I moved to Dallas, Texas, of all places. Dallas, Texas. Never in a million years would I have ever imagined this is where I'll be. I guess that's why they say never, right? So before I recorded this podcast, I had created the notes last week and I had everything, what I wanted to talk about. And Sunday, one of my close friends, she was like, but why Dallas? Of all the places, why Dallas? And for me, that was my confirmation of, you know what? Let me move forward this episode and speak on why Dallas. So to be honest, I never wanted to move to Texas. When I was in Jersey, my lease almost up at the time. I knew for a fact I wasn't going to live there. So I was looking at other areas in Jersey or other apartments in the same area. I was looking at LA, the DMV, and Delaware. Those are the four areas I was looking at consistently. And because the DMV area in Delaware is because I wanted to be closer to my immediate family, my sister and my niece, my nephew. New York is where my extended family is. All of my cousins are out here. My cousins, my aunt, my uncles, my aunts, my uncle, they're all out here in New York. So, just going back and forth on the PATH train to see them, the holidays, it was easy peasy. And then I remember specifically it was the winter time. It was one of the worst days to be outside, in my opinion, but I had to go grocery shopping. When you're a New Yorker, when you live in the tri-state, snow, freezing wind, it's not going to stop you. I needed to get groceries. And I was out there and I was walking. I was like, God, I can't take this no more. I just want to move someplace warm. I don't know where is it going to be at, but just give me someplace warm, please. And days later, I'm still looking around for different apartments. This is back in February. I'm looking for different apartments. And it's Sunday. I go to church online. And at that time, during the service, I asked God, where do you want me to go? Where do you want me to go? Because I'm looking at all these places, and the places in the DMV and Delaware, they were cool, but I was like, but man, it's still going to be winter. It's still going to be snow. It's still going to be cold. Let me just look at California. So I'm looking at California. I even looked at Phoenix, too. So I'm like, let me just try these warmer states. And during Sunday service, TD Jakes, I do the Potter House online, TD Jakes was like, someone needs to move to Dallas. I don't know who it is, but you need to move to Dallas. And I'm like, oh, that's great for that someone. I wonder who that is. And I started thinking like, oh, Dallas, like that's not, I wonder what that's like, like, so I Googled different places in Dallas and I'm like, nah, but I'm not moving to Texas. That's wild. And eventually, I'm a very spiritual person, religious as well. And I just started asking God for discernment and asking him like, okay, is this where I need to be? To the point where I was like, listen, I need a sign. I need a sign ASAP. And I'm not going to hold you. I got the sign. And when I got the sign, I was like, all right, you know what? Let me just plan a quick trip to Dallas. I had mentioned it in my Facebook group that I'm a part of. I'm a part of this financial Facebook group. And I was like, someone had mentioned that they're thinking about moving to Florida or Texas. And I had left a comment like, so am I. I'm thinking about moving to Texas. Any ideas? And I met this young lady whose husband is a real estate agent, but for Austin, Texas. But he introduced me to somebody, and that person gave me a bunch of apartments I can look at into in the different areas. So I did my research. I didn't just up and be like, I'm moving to Dallas. I'm not that type of person. I'm a processor. So I had to go see, had to go map things out. So I went out there. I left Tuesday evening. I got out there like, late Tuesday night. And then all day Wednesday, I went looking at different apartments. I looked at different areas. And I was like, all right, this, you know what? It's not that bad. Dallas isn't that bad. It's not what I thought it would be. So after that, since I was in Texas, since I was in Dallas, I was like, well, I might as well go to the Potter's house for Wednesday night Bible study. I went there. It was a great experience. I came back and I applied for the first apartment, which I'm so happy to this day. I'm so happy that they rejected me. I'm so happy. Now, I'm not going to lie. Going in, when I'm applying, I was like, I don't know. The lady gave me a little bit of those racist vibes, but maybe I'm bugging. I got rejected for whatever reasons where I could have challenged it, but I was like, it just wasn't for me. And I applied to my second option, and I got approved like 2 days later. Now, the why Dallas, honestly, the only reason why is because I just followed the steps that God ordered for me. Like I said, Dallas was in the equation, and like I said, I'm very spiritual, and I make sure that I'm aligned with God, and I'm very happy that I moved to Dallas because a lot of doors has been opening, but there have been challenges. The challenge of moving to a state where you have no family and no friends, and you're an introvert, it is difficult. The first few months was difficult. Actually, no. The first 2 months wasn't that difficult because I had to do a lot of traveling for work. So I went to conferences and things of that nature. Once we got around holiday times and travel was over and I was in my house every single day, I didn't know what to do with myself. Like I couldn't just jump on a train and go see my cousin or go see my aunt or whatever. So that's to this day it's still difficult of not knowing anyone. Like to this day I have like maybe one or two people that I've met in church or I've met at a an organization meeting that I'm like a club meeting that I'm a part of. But for the most part, like it's just me. But instead of turning that into a challenge or like a negative, it was an opportunity for me to know more about myself, to figure out who Candid is and what Candid really wants. You know, when I was in New York, it was more what people saw me to be, and I was becoming that. And part of me wants to be that, you know, to this day. But there's certain things I was doing because they're like, "Oh, you're great for that. You're great for that. You do so well in this. You should just continue doing that." And I continued doing it. And being here, I was able to sit down and really think about my future, where I want to be in the next 5 years. How do I see myself? What's the version of myself that I really want to become? So, yes, it's challenging being here and not knowing people, but the blessing of it was I get to learn more about me. Another challenge was knowing the area and places to go. Like, and I'm very proud of myself now. Back then, I only knew how to go to, because I don't drive, I don't have a car. I Uber everywhere. But fortunately, where I live, in Dallas, Uber is very accessible to go to places, and it's not that expensive to go to different places because of the area that I live in is very, what's the word? It's, you can get to everywhere. Where I live, it's easy to get to different places. So I just knew about, you know, I know how to get to Kroger. I knew how to get to Target. Those are the two places at the time I knew how to get. And I personally shop at Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. So I was like, okay, where are these two places? And I found Whole Foods, which is like 8 minutes away from me. I found a Trader Joe's. So I was able to like find different places. Then I started going downtown. Well, not downtown. I started going to Deep Elm. I decided to walk around the neighborhood. I found, you know, the arts district. I went to the museums. I found like different eateries, different places to visit. The theater. They have a symphony out here. So there's a lot of cool spots out here. So I got to know my neighborhood a lot, which is cool. Like to see how far I came from when I first moved here and I only knew how to get to 2 different places, to now I'm like, oh, let me go here, let me go there. It's really cool. And even now, just still exploring it and learning. And at some point, I'm going to like rent a car or, you know, use my Zipcar account and just, you know, hit the road and start driving to other areas in Dallas to see what's shaking out here in these streets. So that was a challenge though, like learning my environment. And I'm still learning the landscape. Like I can honestly say now I can like walk to different places without using my GPS. I can come back. So that's something that I'm happy about. And like I said earlier, another challenge was dealing with isolation. Like the not knowing anyone part is difficult, but being isolated was hard because at some point it's just you and your thoughts. And sometimes you could tend, well, let me not say you, I could tend to overthink in the process of being by myself, but it was an opportunity to work on my business, the opportunity to map out my career and work on that, you know. So I like to turn like the challenges, I like to see the positive side of things, because we could complain all day about, oh, I'm by myself, oh, I don't know anybody, oh, I'm so alone. It's like, no, you have to flip it. You have to turn that into a positive. Like, okay, you're all alone and you don't know anyone, and like, what are you gonna do about it? So I took time to build a routine. I took time to map out how I see my future. I took time to map out my career, and give myself like a solid plan. Like, I'm a planner. So I know everything doesn't happen according to plan, but I feel like you have to have some type of plan so that way you know where to go. You know the direction that you're going into. And it's been working, and I'm loving it. But I have learned a lot about myself. One, my trust in God became even stronger. Like, I always trust God, but to go from, I'm looking for apartments in the DMV, LA, Phoenix, and then trusting him with this Dallas move, it just made me say, okay, when you get that feeling and you hear his voice, move accordingly. Like, don't judge, don't be disobedient. So I'm learning more how to be obedient to God. I'm learning more how to hear his voice and how to seek him, and have more discernment on things. So my trust in God became stronger. My confidence is through the roof. You know, I was always confident, but there were times where I doubt myself. But moving this far and being on my own, away from my family, and doing the things that I'm doing, what? Please. My confidence is up there, boy. You can't tell me nothing. You can't tell me I can't accomplish anything. Like, there's no way if someone says, oh, no, you can't do that, please, watch me. I've also learned that being comfortable can hold you back from a lot of opportunities. When I moved out here, opportunities wasn't happening out the gate. But the more I went out, I spoke to my mentor, and she connected me with different people that lived out here and different prominent people, and I got to know them. I started telling them about me and my goals, and they started connecting me with different organizations, different people. A lot of opportunities started opening up that, if you follow me on Instagram, Just Be Candid, you'll see the opportunities that I've been blessed with, and you'll be seeing more opportunities that I'm being blessed with that I haven't announced yet. So sometimes I say, man, if I would have just stayed in the tri-state area, would any of this have been going on? And to be honest, I think the answer for me is no. And moving out here, I learned that at some point I want to live outside the country. Like, I'm not scared to move to different places anymore. You know, like, I still want to move to California. At some point, I want to spend time in Paris. I want to spend time in Italy. You know, I want to just live, you know, different places for 3 to 6 months. You know, just see the world, and knowing that I can do it, and know that I'm all right with, if I'm doing it by myself, it's fine. So that's one thing. And then also learn that I have a new standard for myself. I know the types of people I want around me. I know the types of conversations that I want to have with others. And I also know that I want to be more intentional with my time. I am more intentional with my time and who I give my time to. So that's what I've learned about, like, myself during this move. And, you know, if you want to move, like, if you ever been like, you know what, Ken, you know, I also thought about moving myself, you know, but I don't know, either I'm going to be away from my family, I'm not 100% sure if I want to do that. And I'm not saying, God, just do it, jump out the window and move. I just say, map it out, write the pros and the cons. And if your cons is based off of fear, then, just do it anyway. But I would say, honestly, have a plan. Like, moving to Dallas, yes, I know I said, like, I heard God's voice and he said move to Dallas and things of that nature. Yes, that's true. But I didn't just pack all my stuff and move to Dallas. I had a plan. I visited the state. So if you can visit the place that you want to move to, I highly recommend it. Because you want to see, can you live in that environment? You want to see the area. You want to do your research on the area. So make sure you have a plan. For me, my goal when I moved, I wanted to make sure I can get there with Uber. I wanted to be city-like and a lot of diversity. So write down your needs and wants and see if the place where you want to move has it. I would say do it scared. Definitely do it scared. And lastly, for me, I was the first. I was the first in my family, that I know of, my immediate and my extended family, to move far. Like, my mom lives in North Carolina, but, we can hop on the Amtrak train or fly out there. The rest of my family, my cousins and stuff, they all live in New York. The farthest they went was like upstate. And my sister and my nieces, they live in the DMV area. So everybody's had not easy access, but you can get to each other pretty quickly. I did it. I just moved. I thought about not being with my family, but it lets me think about this Bible verse, honestly. If you study the Bible, if you read the Bible, there's this verse in Genesis 12. Genesis 12, verses 1 and 2. I'm reading this out of the NLT, New Living Translation, but the verse goes, "The Lord said to Abraham, leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you, and curse those who treat you with contempt. All the families of earth will be blessed through you." So basically, he's saying, you gotta move. You have to move. Like, leave your comfortability, leave your country, leave your relatives, leave your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. And that's what I did. I didn't leave my country, but I left the state. I left my family. And I moved to where he showed me. And he's making me great. He's blessing me. And he's blessing the people around me. Now, curse those who treat you with contempt. I don't, maybe he is doing that behind the scenes. But the moral of the story is, if you're listening and you ever thought about moving, I highly recommend it. Just do your pros and cons, write your list, set a plan, see the area, and don't worry about who you're leaving behind. Maybe you're supposed to leave them behind. Sometimes you have to leave those behind and start a new chapter and meet new people that's going to help you advance and grow in life. But that's my story. about the big move. There's definitely more details, but I didn't want to keep this episode too long at all. But I just want to thank everybody for listening to episode 3. Episode 4, I'm gonna do my podcast more on a weekly basis now. So if you love this episode, make sure that you like, download, share it, leave some feedback. You can hit me on Instagram at Just Be Candid, JustBeCandid. That's me. And I just thank you all for listening to my story. I hope I was able to inspire or encourage someone that's in a place where they want change. They want a different environment. So I hope my story helped you, somehow figure it out or somehow make you think more about pushing that button and going. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Candid, and this has been Just Being Candid. Until next time, blessings up, blessings up, blessings up.